The American Legion has a strong and mutually beneficial relationship with the organization represented by our next guest. USAA, like the American Legion, cares about financial security for families of current military members and of veterans from previous generations. For the last 9 years, our next guest has been a member of the USAA Board of Directors. It follows a highly successful military career in which our speaker rose to be appointed to the highest enlisted rank of the entire United States Air Force. Please give a warm welcome to the 14th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Gerald R. Murray.
Well, thank you very much, Commander Triola, for the kind introduction, and thank you, fellow Legionnaires, for your warm welcome as well. It's indeed an honor to be able to be here to represent USAA with you, and also, as I have learned, part of this in preparation is that we have had an affinity relationship with the American Legion since 2010. We just renewed that affinity for another 5 years, and I certainly hope that it continues to go on and on and on, because how important it is for two organizations, two great organizations that care about our veterans, that care about our service members, their families, to be joined together for the causes that we are. And for those of you that who traveled from outside this area of the state, welcome to our neck of the woods. You see, this is actually home for my wife Sherry and me, or at least close to here, as we hail from west of here in Shelby, North Carolina, and I was raised just a few miles further towards the mountains in Bowling Springs. And it's only natural for Sherry and me to come back to North Carolina, where we grew up after serving 29 years in the Air Force and another 12 years in defense industry, 41 years from Lackland Air Force Base to the Pentagon, in multiple states, in Turkey, the Middle East, and Japan. We lived, and like many of you, or I deployed throughout the United States and around the world. But through it all, we always knew sometime that we would return home. So yes, this is our neck of the woods. Yet the feeling of home is more than just a location. For those of us that served often know that here on stage with the 104th National Convention of the American Legion, being among you, 6,000 Legionnaires, spouses, and family members, this too feels like home, or more so, as we well know, serving in the military, like family. And when I think about what the Legion stands for, it's because you have dedicated your life to selfless service. This organization represents more than 2.3 million veterans, service members who've dedicated their lives to our country and who recognize that freedom and prosperity come with a price. You gave years of your lives serving as soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen, guardians, and Coast Guardsmen. And then by joining the American Legion, you've declared that you're continuing to serve is a lifelong passion. And together, we've spent years serving our country and our communities. Many among us in the Legion, as we know, served in Vietnam. In fact, many of our leaders in the Legion today served during those periods. And this year marks an important anniversary, the 50th year since the Paris Peace Accords were signed and the prisoners of war were returned from captivity. But regardless of when you served, I recognize that it's not just the service member who made the sacrifices. Your spouses and family sacrificed as well. Holidays, family weekend, family time, and the frequent moves that came with that. I think many of us can say that served, and like myself, that I talk about Sherry often, that if it was not for Sherry and the ability to maintain the household with 3 children and all that went on and to be able to support the community, I couldn't have been able to do the things that I do, and I certainly owe her today, the great gratitude that what she sacrificed in her time, as well as other family members have. And that's why the American Legion Auxiliary and the Sons of the American Legion still play vital roles in fostering service, patriotism, and commitment to our veterans and our communities. And with all of you, my service continues as well. As we mentioned, that I have the privilege of representing USAA, serving on their board of directors, the Air and Space Forces Association and the Air Force Enlisted Village on their boards, and as an Air Force Museum Foundation member of the Board of Trustees. And I'm also a proud member of the Warren F. Hull Legion Post 82 in Shelby. As I mentioned Shelby, and some of you, and certainly I know the leadership here that I had the opportunity, if you were to Google Shelby or look us up in Wikipedia, one of the first community events or activities that you will find listed about Shelby is that we're the proud host of the World Series, the American Legion World Series, which just happened just over a week ago. We show a little bit of Southern hospitality there by hosting that series, but all of that, of course, started with 64 teams and 8 regional sites that made their way to the World Series. And we want to congratulate League City, Texas, representing Post 554. That was Texas' first championship for coming out on top. You know, the World Series is a tradition that dates back to 1925 and the longest running baseball program in the country. And we sure are proud that Shelby was chosen as the permanent host of the World Series. But Legion Baseball is just a small part of your broad and deep connection to America, its veterans and communities. You're all about enhancing the well-being of the great nation's veterans and your vision of veterans strengthening America. And I'm proud of your actions honoring those who came before us by advocating for their health and welfare. One example is the passage of the PACT Act, which specifically helped veterans who have been deployed with developed medical conditions related to the exposure of burn pits and toxins during the Gulf Wars. This measure is ensuring that many affected veterans are getting the treatment that they need and deserve. And sometimes veterans also need our advocacy, encouragement, and friendship. I mentioned that one of my roles in retirement is serving on this board. And I'm especially proud of one thing that USAA and the American Legion are doing together. But before I talk about it, here's an interesting observation about the Legion. And one that I've always found, and as I'm being a part of this Legion, is that the Legion is a very independent-minded group. And in fact, the 1988 Legion resolution proclaimed that this organization doesn't do things as part of other groups when the Legion might not have a full voice. So the Legion had to pass a special resolution just to participate in a worthy cause with USAA. And this cause is Face the Fight. You know better than anyone that suicide is a major problem among our veterans. In fact, the suicide rate among veterans is 1.5 times the rate of the general population in our nation. We've got to do something about this. There are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, friends, and neighbors, and our children. They're brave men and women who've given so much through their service, only to end up in a crisis at home. So the American Legion, USAA, and a coalition of like-minded corporations, foundations, and nonprofit and veteran-focused organizations have come together to face the fight. This group is bounded together with the aspiration to cut veteran suicide in half by the year 2030. So let's take a look at a video that shows what this commitment means to us.
Since 2001, we've lost more than 120,000 service members and veterans by their own hand, who've served this country, who've given up hope.
We're facing this fight because the veteran suicide rate is 1.5 times greater than the national average. Suicide impacts every community.
This is important to me because I had a soldier who was entrusted in my care who committed suicide. You carry these things with you for the rest of your life because you always feel you could have done something to prevent that.
Face the Fight is a USAA-led coalition of purpose-driven companies, organizations together who want to make a difference and stop veteran suicide.
We have an opportunity to increase awareness, access to resources, destigmatize care.
The more we can reduce the stigma to make it okay to talk, opens up the opportunity to get help.
Face the Fight is about breaking the silence. You are not alone.
You're not alone if you have this struggle. The stigma would tell you it's a weakness, but the truth is the strength is raising your hand. The opportunity here is to rise up, ask for support, ask for help.
It actually takes a lot of courage to speak up and to ask for help.
If you're a service member or veteran who's struggling, raise your hand and ask for help.
Having the courage to talk about suicide and your own ideation, that's the first step.
We are winning this fight by breaking that stigma and breaking down barriers to seek resources.
That's what this coalition is doing, providing access and means to getting the help that people need.
We make it our mission by actually showing that we're getting out there and doing something.
This is your opportunity to join us.
It's imperative for us all to stand together and face this fight.
Together,
Together,
Together, we're going to face the fight.
we're going to face the fight.
We are going to face the fight.
face the fight.
Together, we're going to face the fight.
As our great organizations, the American Legion and USAA and others, have taken a stand to face the fight, I ask each of you personally to join in doing our best to be able to take and meet the mission objective that we have in this way. So far, the Face the Fight Coalition has raised more than $40 million to help prevent veteran suicide. The USAA employees alone have made this a central fundraising effort in 2023, and so far, our employees have contributed out of their pockets $670,000 to this cause. I'm pleased to know that the Legion is a leader in this fight, right beside of USAA. And I'm excited to see what we can achieve by facing the fight together. Legionnaires, again, Sherry and I are happy to have you in our backyard. We truly hope that your time here in the great state of North Carolina and the Charlotte has shown you the hospitality that we so proud of in this area. And we truly, as we also want you and hopefully and know that you have enjoyed your time spent with your battle and swim buddies, your shipmates, your wingmans, your guardians, and your fellow coasties. And thank you. Thank you all for all you have done and all you continue to do. May God continue to bless the American Legion and our great nation. Thank you.